what's up, America? I want to show you exactly how bad flock surveillance actually is. And I want to show you just 2 city blocks of a small town and flock cameras recording hundreds of different events of just random mundane life to be used against you, the general population, sometime in the future. Let's take a look. So what you're seeing here is approximately 2 blocks of a small town with several flock camera systems recording every single point of movement in the town as if it was something that might be a criminal offense, and then logging it here in a database to be used later against you if the time should arise. So this is just 2 city blocks, and this is the amount of data flock cameras found in less than 20 minutes. Hundreds and hundreds of different points. Flock cameras seem to be doing nothing more than tracking the movements of every single thing. Human, car, even animals were seen being surveilled by the flock camera systems. This is sickening. This is not just license plate readers. This is an everything reader. Every point of movement is being read by a flock camera. Of course, here's your heat map of flock. Every square inch of human living in the United States is now being monitored by flock cameras. 110,432 flock cameras as of July 2nd, 2026. But as you can see here, most of the entire living space of the United States and any habitable area is now being monitored by flock. So you're not just being monitored on license plates. Every single movement you do in public is being monitored and sent to a database for use against you in the future. So let me know what you think about that.
There is a quiet digital net being cast over the entire country, and for a lot of people, the realization is finally hitting home. We aren't just talking about a few police cruisers with dashcams anymore. We are seeing a massive, aggressive rollout of surveillance infrastructure, specifically these flock safety cameras that is popping up in every corner of the country. From the busiest city intersections to the most remote rural crossroads, the eye in the sky is watching. It's no longer just about catching criminals, it's about logging the movement of every single person, every single day. And as the technology evolves to track us through our Bluetooth signals and phone pings, the line between public safety and total monitoring is disappearing.
Americans are now declaring war on flock safety cameras. There are videos coming out across the entire country showing people not only putting trash bags over them, but completely destroying them as well. Take a look. Here are just a couple of examples. We can see them using power tools to cut down the poles, take the cameras off the poles, throw them on the ground, and even blow them up in some cases. Look at that. Again, this is happening all across the United States. People are going out at night with their faces covered, of course, and using battery-powered angle grinders, saws, and paint to cut down or completely cover the surveillance poles. In Virginia, one guy faced dozens of felony charges after he sliced down 13 separate cameras. Similar events have been heavily reported by police across Michigan, Oregon, California, Connecticut, and Illinois, just to name a few. But here's what's crazy. New systems are currently being developed to pull Bluetooth identifiers from inside of moving cars. Since they can pair a physical vehicle with the unique Bluetooth signal of the driver's phone, the surveillance has moved from tracking the machine to now tracking the exact human being inside of it. But people are fighting back. The DFlock project is a massive open source mapping website that allows people to locate exactly where all of these cameras are.
Hello, I'm coming to you live as a former flock safety camera installer. I just wanted to educate the public on a few ways these cameras are installed all over the country, right? The cameras are installed using these kind of clamps, right? We use 2 of them, okay? They use an 8mm typically, or a flathead, 8mm or flathead socket that can be attached to an impact to drive or to remove these clamps. We can install or remove a camera in less than 15 seconds. The solar panel is what powers the camera, and there's no long cables running underground to power. There's a battery backup and a solar panel, that's it. The camera can last all night basically, even a little longer with this battery backup. So when you're removing these, you can attach an 8mm socket to a drill and just remove it in a couple seconds and pull the camera down. You could unclip the camera, but it takes a little longer without causing any damage. So you could remove the camera without causing any damage. But then you leave the solar panel in the pole there, which, you know, another tech will just come and install a new camera the following day. So if you're going to dismantle it, you really want to dismantle it. Or if you're going to build it, you want to build it properly, vice versa, right? They don't just turn off as soon as you unplug them. They broadcast 5G and they obviously have a battery backup. So if you are going to do anything with the flock camera, if you are going to remove them, you definitely want to wrap it in aluminum and don't leave any gaps in the aluminum foil. Wrap it tightly multiple times. Don't be shy with the aluminum foil. If you plan on keeping it, if you plan on just removing them and trashing them, you don't really have to worry about that as long as you act quickly, but they will have your location. So you want to move fast and make sure when you're doing any harm, you know, make sure you're not on camera on another flock camera. Make sure you're not seen by another flock camera. If you're going to do anything reckless, do it properly. You know, make sure you scope the scene first. But as a former flock safety installer, I just wanted to educate the public on how they are installed. They are installed using these. It's very easy to remove or install. Yeah, there isn't $300 worth of gold in it. There isn't hundreds of dollars worth of copper, wire, none of that. But if you are going to remove them, don't leave them anywhere near the scene because they'll just be installed the next day. Dismantle the pole, dismantle the solar, break the whole system if you're going to do anything. But other than that, have a good day. Weekend's coming up. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe and flock safety.
You know those flock cameras that have been popping up all over the U.S., right? Do not, under any circumstances, point a high-powered green laser at the flock cameras. This cannon will permanently damage and or disable the cameras and require them to be replaced and cost the company money. So please, under no circumstances, do this.
There's a flock. And there's a flock.
Flock cameras are not just crime deterrents. They are watching you, they are logging you, even if you do not commit a crime. They have systems that log your license plate, your vehicle details, the time that you were there, the location. They can catalog your make, model, color, bumper stickers, roof racks, even visible damage to your vehicle down to scratches and dents. And then they store that data in searchable databases used by police and other three-letter agencies across the country. That is not just crime prevention. That is mass surveillance being marketed to us as safety. Well, don't do crime and you'll be okay. You are thinking way too small. You are quite literally still inside of the box. You trust the government with a permanent surveillance network? Freedom means being left alone by the state unless you have actually done something, not being tracked just in case. And something that absolutely baffles me is the fact that the CEO of Flock Safety has already compared people exposing the camera locations and criticizing these systems to terrorists and Antifa. That should alarm everyone. That is how civil liberties get eroded. First by labeling dissent as dangerous, then by expanding surveillance in the name of security, right? And before I show you what a flock looks like, let's talk about my own city. If these cameras are just harmless crime deterrents, why is Louisville, Kentucky fighting so hard to keep their location secret? Louisville has deployed over 200 plus city-owned flock cameras, and police also have access to hundreds more shared cameras from businesses, HOAs, universities, other entities across Jefferson County. Around 600 cameras total that the government can tap into. Metro officials and LMPD have refused to publicly disclose exact camera locations. Earlier this month, Louisville Metro Council voted down a proposal that would have required the city to publish these locations online. They love to say, if you're not doing anything wrong, then you shouldn't care. Okay, uno reverse. If you're not doing anything wrong, why do you care that we want to know where they are? Why are you hiding the cameras? I live in the West End, so I'm actually going to walk you to the flock closest to my neighborhood so that you can see what mass surveillance looks like right here at home. Okay, so this is a flock camera at the corner of Dixie Highway and Dumenil Street in Louisville. Most people drive past this and never think twice, and that's the point. Surveillance works best when it feels normal and when it feels invisible. We're told not to worry about facial recognition or expanded tracking, but we have no proof that they won't do that or that they haven't already. The issue isn't just what they claim that the cameras do today, it's what these systems can become once the infrastructure is already everywhere. Flock cameras reduce crime. Police reduce crime. You know what else guarantees reduced crime? Paying people enough to survive instead of poverty wages. Housing and rent prices that don't keep people paycheck to paycheck. Healthcare that people can actually afford. Education that creates opportunity for young adults. Treatment for addiction and mental health. The kind of stability that keeps people from desperation in the first place. They would rather monitor poverty than end it. Oh, well, there's no expectation of privacy in public. Being seen in public is not the same as having your movements logged, stored, analyzed, retraced, all to be sold to a private surveillance network. We recognize that persistent tracking can become harassment or stalking when individuals do it. So why is mass automated tracking suddenly acceptable when these corporations and the government does it? It's weird.
Is this not crazy as to have in a neighborhood, like just surveilling the whole neighborhood, like just overly in everybody's business?
They put a flock camera up near my house. I'm not okay with that. I'm not all right with that. It would be a real shame for the local crackheads to learn there's about $300 worth of copper and metal inside of those things, and they're not hard to get down. What an evil thing, though. Like, it's named flock. Like, it's just talking about how we're sheep, man. Like, that's not cool. And they put it up on the 4th of July weekend, man. That's just, like, ultimate irony. You can't do that. Whatever, man. I'm in the parking lot at church, and I'm going to go in here and pray for whatever demonic entity is making those flock cameras happen. They go away.
Look around. We're standing in the middle of the Richland Wildlife Management Area. Miles and miles of Florida wilderness with no neighborhoods or shopping centers, subdivisions, or traffic lights around. Just woods, hunters, fishermen, families, people enjoying the outdoors the way that generations of Floridians always have. So here's my question. Why are there surveillance cameras here? Why are there license plate readers sitting at the crossroads of a wildlife management area? Who are they watching? The hunters? People exercising their Second Amendment rights? Families going camping? Fishermen headed to a boat ramp? Because it isn't just here. I recently drove to a remote boat ramp in the middle of the marsh. There wasn't a town nearby. There wasn't a shopping center, a neighborhood, just a boat ramp and surveillance cameras recording every vehicle coming and going. At what point did we decide that every trip into nature should be tracked? Every hunting and fishing trip, every drive through rural Florida. Some people will immediately say, those cameras help stop crime. They help stop human trafficking. And every one of us wants criminals caught. Every one of us wants trafficking victims rescued. But here's the question that no one seems willing to ask. How much surveillance are we willing to accept? For decades, law enforcement investigated crimes without building massive networks of cameras that record the movements of millions of law-abiding Americans. Technology can be a useful investigative tool, but it should never become a substitute for police work. It should never become a substitute for evidence. And it should never become a substitute for the constitutional liberties that Americans have always expected.
What we're seeing is a fundamental shift in how we live. We've moved from a society where you could walk through a park or drive down a back road without being a data point, to a world where every mundane movement is cataloged in a searchable database. The argument is always the same. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. But that's a dangerous way to look at freedom. When we trade our privacy for the promise of security, we often find we've lost both. We are being told that this constant automated tracking is necessary for safety, but it feels more like a way to manage a population that is increasingly struggling to survive. They are choosing to invest in the machinery of surveillance rather than the social foundations that actually prevent crime, like stable housing, living wages, and accessible healthcare. They'd rather watch us struggle than actually help us thrive. I want to hear from you. Are you seeing these cameras popping up in your own neighborhood or even in your rural towns? Do you think this level of tracking is a necessary tool or is it a step too far? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.